Hello foodie friends, and welcome to another week of shaker recipes. I have another cookbook here. This was older than the first one, but there's a little surprise about this one and the one we did last week that I will tell you about at the end of the episode. So I decided to go ahead and choose a really rustic bean soup, mostly because it's fall and I always think in cold weather of beans and ham and cornbreads and just really good hot savory foods. So that's what we're going to do today. Now this recipe obviously was made before modern conveniences, and so I actually debated about something that I decided to go ahead and do. But instead of cooking my beans pretty much all day on the stovetop, I'm going to go ahead and cook the beans and the ham in the pressure cooker and then transfer it to the stove, and where we'll finish it up with the rest of the vegetables. And the reason I decided to do that is because if the Shakers would have had access to this little miracle of kitchen gadgetry, they would have used it all day long. The Shakers were renowned across America for their inventions and their love of technology. Now, some of it, obviously, not all of us are farmers, and so a lot of their technology we don't personally use anymore. However, two of their technologies that I was able to find are absolutely used by most Americans almost every day, and that's the clothespin and the washing machine. So if they could have invented an easier way to cook their beans, they would have done it. Now, in last week's episode, I mentioned in the voiceover that the Shakers had actually been an offshoot of the Quakers and started in England in about 1747. Now, in about 1774, that's when Anne Lee, who became one of their leaders, and 8 of her followers decided to hot-foot it over to America because of persecution they were suffering as a religious group in England. And it's here in America where they really flourished and took off. So they went from 9 people to having 18 communities spread across the United States, some of which you can still go visit today. And so let's go ahead, get this started, and see how this tastes, because I have a feeling it's gonna be wonderful.
Pause here to write down what you'll need to follow along. Now let's get this soup started. If you're not using a whole ham bone, go ahead and take your ham and chop it up into pieces. You can see here in the bowl that I've had my beans soaking overnight, and so they are ready to cook. And if you happen to hear any purring, that's because my cat is sitting in my lap right now as I record this. Since I'm using my pressure cooker, I'm going to go ahead and add the beans in there along with the ham, and then enough water to cover by about 2 inches. I put mine on manual and then just put 60 minutes to cook, and that usually cooks any bean. Now we're going to prepare our vegetables. Go ahead and chop your parsley, but put it in a separate bowl. Then chop your celery, onions, and potatoes, and you can go ahead and put that in the same bowl. The Shakers were renowned for their good food and hospitality, but they were also known for their many businesses. Because they felt they were doing God's work on earth, their products were no less than the best. They were the first to sell seeds in packets that other farmers clamored for, and their food and farm goods were highly sought after. Their furniture was also of the highest quality and still commands a very high price today. They toiled through the day by making baskets, knitted goods, woven rugs and brooms, clothes, cheese, and even needle-crafted goods. This was all done diligently and happily, for they all felt that they were working together to create a little piece of heaven on earth. And now I'm fixing to make a cooking 101 mistake: underestimating the size of pot that I'm gonna need. I started with what I thought would be a large enough soup pot, added my beans and meat, and was going to add my vegetables when I realized halfway through the mistake that I'd made. And because it became pretty heavy and I'm very klutzy, I asked Mitch to come in here and switch pots. I thought my Dutch oven would be enough, but you can see I still barely had room to add my tomatoes. Since I just made it, I went ahead and decided to stick to this pot instead of switching to one that's slightly bigger than that one. Now give all that a good stir and let it cook on the stove for about 20 more minutes or until your potatoes are thoroughly cooked. And now we'll do a big reveal. And it looks and smells wonderful. Go ahead and add your parsley and give that a quick stir. And now it's time to add your salt and pepper, but be very careful because ham products have a tendency to be very salty, so you don't want to oversalt. And you may find that you don't even need the extra salt. You can let that cook for a few minutes more, and then it's time to serve up. This is a beautiful rustic soup, perfect for cornbread.
We've been stewing this all day long. Pretty much. I mean, It's bean soup. It takes a while. But we're going to go ahead and try it. I say we just go ahead while it's hot.
Okay.
Let's just eat it. It is super hot, so be careful.
It is.
Yeah, that's really hot.
We probably should have let it cool down a little bit.
We probably should have, but you know us. We don't wait for anything. Okay, what do you think?
I think it's good,
Uh-oh.
but I would say it's probably not the best bean soup I've ever had.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's
Do you remember the best bean soup you ever had?
probably
Or are you comparing it to chili?
no.
Okay.
No, I definitely like the ham kind of sets it apart.
Uh-huh.
It's got a good bean. I think like the ones that use like a lot of different beans, I think have a little bit more
Okay.
roundness to the flavor.
Well, that might be what you're remembering because when I make a bean soup, I typically make a 15 bean soup.
Right.
And they have it, in the little package with the already, your 15 beans and then the little seasoning packet in there. This obviously did not come with a seasoning packet.
Right. So maybe that's it.
You're just-
Honestly, like maybe if you I don't know, it could use a little salt maybe, but that part of that might be like just how hot it is too.
Now that's the thing. Like we're trying this so hot that I think I might have burnt the roof of my mouth.
Yeah, it's
just
pretty
a
hot.
little bit with the potatoes. So typically with a bean soup, it's actually better if you let the flavors meld for a while. And this
So like
soup
any
will.
kind of soup, like the next day, sometimes it's better.
I started to say this will probably taste better tomorrow.
But I mean, that being said, it's very good. It's got a well-rounded flavor. It's got a lot of umami.
Yeah. The tomatoes really set that
Yeah.
off. Now, personally, I really like it,
Yeah.
but I'm a little bit with you in that I think we're missing that little seasoning packet.
Yeah, maybe.
That's kind of what I'm thinking because when I first tasted this, I was thinking, oh, I think there's something a little missing.
Yeah.
Like it's, how it's like when you make homemade chicken soup and you keep trying it and you keep adding things and you're just not there yet. And then all of a sudden that one last ingredient you throw in, like whatever, like cumin or garlic or whatever, boom, that's what makes like the chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
I think this is also the case. Now, this is meant basically to be eaten with cornbread and not plain, not with that.
Right.
So
that could actually round out the flavors.
that could, you're scooping it up with cornbread, basically.
Like I said, all in all, it's a very good, to me, it tastes like a standard bean soup. You know what I mean? But it's a good one.
So
what
what would you give it though?
I'd probably give it a 4.
Okay, I was thinking 4 too, actually. Like, it's not the best bean soup we've ever had, but it's not terrible, and it's actually a really good for a meal. And if you're wanting, now bear in mind, we did this exactly the way, you know, the 1800s recipe was. So, you know, but if you want to take this at home as a base recipe, and then throw
play with it a little bit, maybe
like
a little salt, a little sage,
like
be good.
Maybe chicken broth instead of plain water. You know, that would be good. There's some different things you could play around with. So I think it's still a very versatile recipe. I would make it again with maybe a few tweaks. Now, I hinted at the beginning of this episode that there was a little surprise about this one in the shaker cookbook we did last week. And here's the reveal. It's the exact same cookbook. The exact same. This is the older version.
Oh,
okay. But it's the same author. This has just been updated and repackaged and given a new cover.
Wow.
And that's it. Now I think like there's some new pictures in here, like drawings and stuff like that. However, it's not enough of a difference to justify owning both of them in my collection.
Right.
So this one happens to be my favorite one because it's older and I picked it up first. And I just think it's cute. I just like it. I like the way the inside is written. I like the fact that it's hardcover. So if you can find this one on eBay, I would recommend this one. It's totally cute. I think you'd really like it. As for this one, since it's the same thing, I'll just find someone to give this to. You know, because there's no sense in having the two. And that's the thing with some publishers that just change the cover and then
act like it's a new book.
It's not a new book. But you know, I only paid $3 for it. So I didn't know. I'm just out $3. I can give it away, you know, to somebody that'll love it and will be glad to get it.
Right.
So yeah, like I said, now if you're gonna pick one up, I mean, either one is the same one. I just happen to think this one's a little cuter. So, you know, I would look for this one. For this recipe book, I think we gave this one a 4 last week. So I would give this, I mean, it's the same thing. So this gets a 4 too. I don't know if, you know, I looked at some different groups. Like I looked for some Quaker cookbooks and stuff like that. And I could only really find one Quaker cookbook, which was a little bit pricey. I'm going to, you know, just kind of hold out and wait on that one. And I didn't really see a whole lot of shaker cookbooks out there. So this actually might be like the Bible of shaker cookery. I know just from the foreword from the author that she did actually get a ton of recipes from shakers that were passed down through the generations. So these are historically accurate. And this was done by the Shaker Historical Society, so you know it's pretty top notch. I'm guessing that either one of these or both at some point was sold at one of the shaker communities that you can visit. So, you know, if you can pick it up, I'd go for it. It's worth it. I think it's worth it. And as for going to a shaker community, that's definitely worth it. Now, we went to the one in Kentucky and loved it. It was awesome.
It would actually be really interesting because, like, unlike some of the other ones that people think of when they think of, like, older Anabaptist, commune type, you know, religions, like, the Shakers were actually very technology forward.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier with our little...
So they wouldn't have been opposed to modifying some of this to adapt to newer technology, too.
Oh, no, not at all.
Even though, like, you know, in these books, some of this stuff takes a long time.
Right.
You know, because they didn't have a lot of the modern conveniences when it was a big thing.
But you can shorten it.
But, yeah, you can shorten it, and they would be okay with that. Like, that would be, you know, something that still would be, like... how they would modify it.
Right, and I believe last week we actually said just beware that these historical recipes are going to take a long time. So that might be something that you don't want to pick up as a cookbook if that is, you know, if that bothers you.
If that's something
if you don't have time for.
Yeah.
However, then, you know, in more of my research, they would have cut the time like that if they could have.
Oh, yeah.
So, go ahead and pick it up and use your modern conveniences to shorten the recipes down. I don't think it's in keeping with the spirit of the people.
Yeah.
So it's not going to take away from the recipe.
Agreed.
And by the way, as regards visiting, now, of course, I wouldn't recommend doing it now because of global situations. But when it's safe to do so, and you get to go, if you can, to a Shaker community and spend the night, you can stay in their, salt box houses and stuff, and everything's furnished the way that they would have had it furnished. So it's very accurate. Of course, no TV, no radios, no nothing, no internet. So when you enter Shaker Town, you're living Shaker. So, be prepared for that. Bring some books. But the food, oh my gosh.
The food is
the food is so good.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can order, they still make rose water and stuff like that you can use for Turkish Delight and other baked goods and stuff like that. Very, very high quality. Very high quality. It's wonderful. And you can purchase things like that online. So if you want to help them out during this whole situation when travel is kind of down, and they're not getting the revenue that they probably need to stay open, you can actually help them out by purchasing items online and maybe kind of help them get past this particular hump that we're going through so that we can enjoy it once we can, see it in person.
Most of them aren't managed by actual Shakers.
No, it's a historical.
I think there's one.
Yeah, there's one in Maine. There's 4. There's just 3 now. There's 3 Shakers left in Maine, and you can go visit them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't now because they're
very old.
Yeah, they're elderly, so don't expose them. They probably won't let you expose them to anything. But when it's safe to do so, you can visit them, and you can actually join the Shaker community. Yeah. Even now, if you want to. So might be something if you're tired of the modern world and you just want some escapism. You can always join the Shaker community and just kind of disappear for a little bit. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and let this cool off a little bit, and then eat it. So I picked up a couple of new recipe books since the last time we had our Anabaptist series, and so that's kind of what we're going to be looking into the next couple of episodes. So thank you for watching this one, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for future videos. In the meantime, here are 2 videos you may enjoy. Thanks for watching!